from a very young age, I was blessed with not just the curiosity for, but luckily the parents who were willing to let me explore whatever religion caught my fancy. And I'm so grateful for this because from a very young age, about the age of 9, I started studying Christianity side by side with Wicca and paganism, Buddhism, Hinduism, Santeria, Native American traditions, both northern and southern. And what I started to realize even before I was introduced to the concept was that they all came from a universal story that was handed down and shaped by the cultures that were telling the story. And they were all revealing to us the universal laws. So then I was introduced to things like Rosicrucianism and Fourth Way, and really started to understand as I started to study all of the religions side by side, things like even the Sumerian text, ancient Egyptian religion, all of these things, they are revealing to us the origin story from which they came and the universal spiritual laws that they all have to teach us. And it's interesting because as you start to really pay attention, there are things like my favorite example, where in the Nordic Viking sagas, Ymir was the giant whose body the earth was made from. And Ymir means primal scream. And in Christianity, we are taught that in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was what created earth. And so you start to notice these things. You start to find all of the similarities, and it's just absolutely amazing how truly many similarities there are. And so at this point, people will ask me, well, what religion do you practice? And, recently I talk a lot about the Caro tradition, the South American Caro tradition that I have been privileged to study under my very own mentor. And I've had mentors in all of the religions that I've studied, but I find myself more and more going back to what I was attracted to as a kid, which was calling myself an eclectic witch. And even that doesn't truly begin to scratch the surface. And for those of you who aren't aware, the word eclectic just means made up of many parts, pretty much. So, as I sort of explain in one of my other videos, the denominations, the religious denominations are all this opening gateway to the greater spirituality as a whole, whether or not you want to consider it God, source, spirit, cosmic consciousness, or just the human spirit. It all comes back to teaching the universal laws. And these are things like everybody's heard of the law of attraction at this point because that's been the most publicized. But we have things like karma and the law of abundance and the law of accident. And they're all taught through all the different religions in all the different ways. And if you just look for them, you'll see that they're hidden, as is all truth, in plain sight. And I just find this the most amazing part of being a Rosicrucian and a Fourth Way student, because there is so much to learn from everyone and everything in every way and every walk of life. And there is no one right way or wrong way to get started. There's no wrong way or right way or better way or faster way to find yourself on the spiritual path. And the more and more you start to study all of them, the more you keep your mind open, the more the secrets are revealed to you, the more you start to see the similarities. Another example that I like to talk about is the idea that there are 3 dimensions, or 3 realms, or 3 worlds. Everything from the Karo tradition to shamanic traditions to the Nordic Viking tradition, Christianity, they all of them believe in this concept of 3 dimensions, whether you consider it heaven, earth, and hell, or in the Viking tradition, they have the upper dimension where Asgard and several other realms are. They have the middle dimension where Midgard, which is earth, and some other dimensions are, or other realms are within that middle dimension. And then the lower dimension where there are many realms. All of these stories, whether you realize them or not, most of them are all telling the same story. You just have to look for the similarities. And once you are open to the fact that there are so many of these similarities, they just jump out at you. And it's so fascinating. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so grateful to be studying under the Rosicrucian order. Because as a Rosicrucian, it is not a religion itself. It's an order that studies ancient mystic traditions, including the Egyptian traditions, but mostly it's about learning how science and magic side by side come together to create what we call spirituality. And so I just want to leave you with this, and that is that you never want to force yourself in a box and feel like you have to pick one thing or another, especially when it comes to spirituality and religion. Because as far as I can tell, for as long as I have been studying, they all come back to source, God, spirit, cosmic consciousness. They all come back to the same thing. And if you are doing good, if you are living a healthy and happy life, treating yourself and others well, then there is no right or wrong way to get back to source, to get back to spirit, to nurture your soul. Because at the end of the day, they're pretty much all the same thing anyway. They all come back to the universal laws, no matter how you learn them or practice them or study them. And because they all resonate from this original source, they all mix together if you are willing to see how. At any given time, I could be using 3 or 4 traditions, spiritual teachings, and practices, because that's what works the best. And then I could do something else and use another combination of another, because that's what works the best for me. At any given time, I'm probably using at least 3 or 4 traditional practices in whatever I'm doing on a spiritual level. It's very rare that I'm ever using just one. I can't remember the last time I just used one single religion or tradition's practice within a particular ritual or moment in general. So don't let yourself get caught up in there having to be one thing, because they all have something to offer. That's why I'm constantly, as they flow in and out of my life naturally, study all the religions all the time, because they all have their wisdom and their teachings. And they really all come from the same place at the end of the day. Anyway. Alright guys, thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm Ann Blackwood, your Silicon Valley Sage Sister, here to bring consciousness to the forefront of your daily life to make life a little kinder and simpler. And I hope that I was able to do that for you today. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Don't forget to check out the links in the description. My solstice sale for my one-on-one sessions is over, but I am still open to taking one-on-one clients. I do have spots available for that. So if you would like to work with me one-on-one, I would love to have you. All you have to do is email me or use the free clarity call link to connect. As well, if you would like something a little more at your own pace, I have Patreon, where for starting at as little as $11 a month, but really if you want to get everything, that starts at as little as $23 a month. I have my intuitive lifestyle course, my spirituality 101 and 2.0 series, so many amazing just single videos like here on YouTube, but where I get even deeper in to all sorts of spiritual topics, mindset work, shadow work, all the good things. So don't forget to check out all those links in the description. And as I always say, may the energies you serve you well, and let's keep making our way through.